All right, so we are in downtown Minneapolis. We are at First Avenue this evening. This is Facebook Live, CrediTV, bringing you Facebook Live for the free credit repair advice group from Credilife. This is not our normal venue. This is definitely not the normal broadcast equipment I use, but it's going to be a fun evening. We're down here for a concert of a band called the Violent Femmes that we're down here to see. Morgan, do we have anybody queuing up for questions or anything yet? There we go. That's going to be your live stream right there. So yeah, you're going to want to hit play on that. Perfect. Okay, well, let's take a look. Tiffany, you just joined. Good evening, Tiffany. So yeah, we're downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's an absolutely stunningly beautiful night. We are right outside of the Target Center in downtown Minneapolis. We're right across the street at a venue called First Avenue. First Avenue is kind of one of the premier concert venues in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the coaches are all out tonight, actually taking a rare night away from work, the office, and we're all down here. This is Morgan back here, for those of you who haven't seen. Morgan is somebody you'll talk to oftentimes if you're working with Credilife for your IDs, for updates and things like that. She's also helping me out fielding any questions you guys have tonight. So if you do have any questions, we're doing the regular Q&A that we normally do every Wednesday at 7. And if you have any questions about the venue here, it's kind of an interesting place. I mean, if you look behind me, every one of these silver stars represents a band that's played here. We've got Pearl Jam, Iggy Pop, The Suburbs, the Parliament Funkadelic, Kool and the Gang, Sonic Youth, the Fugees, Deftones, Eminem. I know The Cult, Katy Perry's played here, Aerosmith, Stray Cats, Bjork. I mean, everybody who's ever has played here. This is where Prince got his start in downtown Minneapolis, playing at First Avenue. But as usual, it's a typical Wednesday night. Other than that, other than the fact that the venue is clearly different, the broadcast equipment is a handheld telephone, but we are still, as usual, doing the Facebook Live, the Q&A for credit. So if you have any credit questions, we have an open forum tonight because this is really loosely put together. Give them an ask. Morgan will let me know what you're asking, and we'll get your answers. So if you've got questions about your credit utilization, balance to limit ratios, if you've got questions about investigations, inquiries, some of you, there's been a revitalization in people utilizing the TransUnion trick to get rid of the inquiries from TransUnion. Looks like we have a question, Morgan.
Toya Rhines says, currently under a Chap 13. Is it possible to ask trustee for permission to go to the credit union for $1,500 for another vehicle? Okay, so the question is, we've got a member who's currently in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, wanting to know if it's possible to ask the trustee if you can go to the credit union and get $1,500 for a vehicle. The answer is yes. The hardest problem that you'll typically have in a situation like this is, aside from the fact you have to convince the trustee that it's in your best interest, that you can afford it, that this is going to be a good debt, that this is still fitting within your plan, there's definitely a need. The hardest part is, quite frankly, getting the credit union to say yes to something like this. But when you are in Chapter 13, it is possible to do investigations. It is possible to do rebuilding. It is possible to do some credit development. So yeah, what you'll want to do is reach out. If you are still working with your attorney that you started with, you'll want to go through them and open up that dialogue with the trustee and go ahead and ask them. A great question. That's a big question for a Wednesday. We have another question. Another question? How can you get recent inquiries deleted? How can you get recent inquiries deleted from your credit? One of the biggest questions we've got, well, the first thing that we're going to do is you have to understand the nature of the credit inquiries themselves. You've got something called a hard inquiry. You've got something called a soft inquiry, or essentially a marketing inquiry. A soft inquiry, a marketing inquiry, or the inquiries that you do yourself when you pull it from Identity IQ, when you pull your credit from Free Annual, even Credit Karma. Those things, those don't cost you points. Don't worry about them. The ones you want to worry about are when you put your name, your social security number, your address, your date of birth down, and you have given these people permission to pull a full 1 to 3 bureau credit report from you. Those inquiries are going to cost you between 5 and 15 points. There's Morgan, 5 and 15 points off your credit report per inquiry. These inquiries will stay on your credit for a period of 24 months, but they only affect your credit for a period of 12 months. Now, we're going to add something else, kind of another twist to the inquiry story.
you are allowed unlimited automotive or unlimited student loan or unlimited mortgage inquiries as long as you have them all done within a 30-day period. 15 days following the end of the 30-day period, they're going to go back and they're going to count that as one inquiry per bureau. This is a shopping window that they allow you. So this brings us up to the actual question: what to do with current inquiries. We've had a lot of people having success lately with contacting TransUnion again. There have been a series of glitches. We've had people contacting Equifax for some obvious reasons, the main one being the massive data breach that affected 142 million people, where all of your credit information was stolen. As of today, 4 units of it were just made available on the deep web. So your credit info, your social security number, your date of birth, your address, all your stuff, even your driver's license number right now, if you are one of the 142 million people who have credit, it was held by Equifax, your information as of, I believe it was 4 p.m. this afternoon, is actually now for sale on the deep web. I digress. Okay, let's back up to the actual question. So what do you do? Okay, couple schools of thought on this. Number one, you can do investigation letters. You can verify, validate, investigate. Keep in mind, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, under the FCRA, the burden of proof still remains in the hands of the people who reported this information to your credit to verify, to validate, and document that this information is 100% accurate and factual and current and correct and verifiable as of today. Not back when the inquiry occurred, but today. So you do have the ability to demand that validation. But here's what's going to happen when you write your letter. You're going to send this off to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Oftentimes they will send you back a letter saying that credit inquiries are a factual record of a pull on your credit and that you have to contact the original creditor. That is absolutely positively true, and it's also absolutely positively not true at the same time. While it's true that they are an accurate record and you can contact the original creditor, what's not true is these guys, again, none of this shakes the burden of proof that's on them to verify, to validate, and to document. So I say you start out by sending letters. This is one of those areas where I would actually say if you're doing nothing else, if you're really just worried about those credit inquiries that you've got on your credit report, if that's all you're worried about, go ahead and do an online, and yeah, you guys mark the date, go ahead and do an online dispute. It's about the only time I'll tell you to do that. If all you're worried about is the inquiries, online versus paper, it's not really going to make much of a difference. Other people have had success following the TransUnion trick due to the glitch that TransUnion had. TransUnion accidentally deleted every single inquiry for every single American and then re-added it without giving the required legal disclosure of re-adding something to your credit report. So based on that, you can put the burden of proof into their hands. You call. You have to ask for an American call center. Otherwise, you're going to get somebody in somewhere, Stan, that isn't going to be able to understand it and isn't going to help you. So you've got to ask once you get that to get to an American call center. This will typically be a phone call that takes you between about 10 minutes and the top I saw was 3.5 hours, but guess what? They're highly successful. And when they're not successful, quite literally, call again. Those are a couple of ways to deal with that. Morgan, do we have anything else that's exciting?
Okay, so we have an add-on to the first question.
An add-on to the first question.
She said...
This was the bankruptcy question about can you obtain...
No. To the
automotive financing?
The recent inquiry.
Okay, so this is actually an add-on to the recent inquiries question.
She just said, I want a higher credit. Do you think my recent mortgage will drop my score?
Do you think the recent mortgage will drop your score? Initially, any new credit will actually drop your score, as well as the inquiry that caused it. Nothing scarier to your credit report than a brand new, untested line of credit, because quite frankly, you've got no history of repayment with this new lender. They never know you're going to make payment one. But once this thing's established, once you've started making your payments, then you're going to have a bump back. And something like a mortgage being typically the largest line of credit a person will ever take out in their life, that's going to have the maximum positive impact on your overall FICO score and your overall credit profile.
Okay, so
Morgan?
Now we have another question.
Okay.
When you get an inquiry deleted, one that was less than 12 months old, does it increase your score?
All right, so the question was, if you get a credit inquiry deleted from your credit report, if that inquiry is less than 12 months old, will it bump up your score? The answer is yes. Every time you let somebody pull your credit, and that's even if you're trying to get 10% off at JCPenney's on the $240 worth of Dockers or whatever you're buying. So if you let somebody pull your credit, it's going to cost you between 5 and 15 points negatively off of your score within the FICO algorithm. Conversely, if you're able to get rid of that, the points come back. So yeah, it's a quick way to boost a couple little points, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to drive home the fact that inquiries only are responsible for 10% of your entire FICO score, 10% of your entire credit score, while balance to limit ratio, utilization on a credit card is worth 65%. On-time payment and utilization is 65% of your credit score. So if you're going to focus on anything, do you think you should be focusing on that inquiry that cost you 5 points? Or do you think you should be focusing on on-time, accurate repayment and proper utilization, that 1 to 3% utilization on the credit card to raise the most points there? The obvious answer becomes the revolving account, the credit card. Morgan, do we have any other questions? Nope. Things are looking good. All right. So what we're going to do, if anyone's got any other questions, people are waving. If anyone's got any other questions about the venue, about anything like that, again, we are in downtown Minneapolis' CrediTV with the Free Credit Repair Advice Group, going out to the 28,000 people that we got here in the group. Any questions you've got, what we're going to do is we're going to pop in throughout the night. This is one rare night out for the coaches. We're actually away from our desks, away from our computers, and with the exception of the phone that's in my hand recording this away from our phones. We got another question.
From
Morgan?
Isaac O'Connor.
Isaac O'Connor, one of our mods.
Is it bad to pay off small collections from your credit?
Is it bad to pay off small collections on your credit? Awesome question, Isaac. Here's the thing with collections. If you pay on an old collection that's reporting negatively on your credit report, most people think it's a good idea. Here's the thing. If you pay on an old collection, your credit score will drop. Not go up, but drop. And here's why. When you pay on a collection that's got older activity, that hasn't got a real recent date of last activity, if you pay on that, what's going to happen is you're going to give a new DOLA, a new date of last activity, to an already negative account. This brings that negativity current, and the thank you get for paying this thing off finally, it's a something there's not a lot of thank involved, but your score will go down. So the question becomes, well, then what do I do? If I pay it off, it's bad, and if I leave it, it's bad. What I'm going to say is this. While professionally I can never tell you not to pay, well, I could tell you, but it'd be a stupid idea. While I'm not going to tell you not to pay your bills, because that's bad advice, what I'll say is, while paying them off is a step in the credit restoration process, it's not necessarily the first step. The first step, again, you want to verify, you want to validate, you want to investigate the integrity of the data, you want to use your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you want to put the burden of proof into the hands of the people who have reported this information, and if they can't verify, validate, and document that it's accurate, factual, current, correct, verifiable today, by law it's permanently deleted from your credit profile. At that point in time, pay it. Don't pay it, settle it, don't settle it, do what you want, follow your conscience, but it won't negatively impact your score. Now, what should you do? I believe we've got an addendum to that with recently added collections. This is kind of a point where it could go a couple directions. If it's very recent, like we're talking this month, yeah, settle it, pay it, get it out of there. Medical collections, oftentimes, if they're very, very recent, they'll take them off or they'll stop reporting afterwards so you can do your investigations and they will go away. But yeah, on a recent collection, it's often a good idea to pay it. But then again, why not verify it? Why not validate it? And why not put the burden of proof into the hands of those people? Here's the thing with the recent collection. You do not know if they sold it this morning to another collection company. You do not know if they've sold it this morning to the first collection company. So the problem we run into is, what if you pay the wrong person? This is actually an issue. It happens all the time. So you want to validate. You want to at least know that this is an accurate collection, that this is something that you do indeed owe the money on. Morgan, how are we doing?
When we dispute the inquiry, what do we tell the credit bureau we did not authorize the inquiry?
Okay, so when we dispute the inquiry, what do we tell the credit bureau? Well, if you did not authorize the inquiry, then you would say, hey, I didn't authorize this inquiry, this is fraud. If you did pull the inquiry, don't lie. Don't say, hey, I didn't do this thing. There are so many other ways to punch holes in something like an inquiry that lying, that potentially committing fraud is the stupidest thing you could do, quite frankly. You can make them, you can make them document that it was you. You can make them document it happened on this date. You can make them document that this was the lender or these were the people that you inquired with. There are so many other things to attack to poke holes in it. And if they don't verify and validate in the legally required time frame, then again, by law, it's permanently deleted from the profile. Any other questions, Roland? All right.
Isaac O'Connor asked where the other coaches are.
Isaac, where are the other coaches? They are across the road at an Irish pub called O'Donovan's, finishing dinner. Honestly, I'm probably going to have more of a liquid dinner tonight. Down here, we're down at the Violent Femmes Concert at First Avenue in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. Kind of the all-time greatest venue down in the cities, and really one of the finest in the U.S. to see a show. So we're here on CrediTV. We're doing Facebook Live like we do every Wednesday at 7. Morgan, if there are no other questions, what we're going to do is we're going to sign off, and we're going to come back throughout the evening. So if you stay by, the computer, you'll see us popping in throughout the night. Maybe we'll try to get some music on there for you. Definitely we'll answer some more questions. We'll get some of the other coaches. We've got Morgan, one of our administrators. We have got Brian Del Turzo, one of our administrators on here. We've got Jared Havens tonight, credit coach. We have got Rick Winter, credit coach. We've got myself. I'm Jeremy Deysach. So we are all here to answer your questions throughout the evening. And for CrediTV, for the Free Credit Repair Group, I'm going to sign off right now. I'm probably going to get myself a beer, and we'll check back in a little bit. Bye now. This is Jeremy Deysach, credit coach. We've got Christopher Kruger, credit coach here. Just checking in from First Ave. We are not sure if you can totally see it. We got to get a different angle because of the shine.
Yep.
We're in front of the Prince Star. Oh man, you can hardly.
There you go.
Can hardly see it, but yeah.
Yep.
Inside, that's the Purple Rain Star 72784. We are at the Violent Femmes show tonight. We're going to be checking in live periodically throughout the evening. We have got the opportunity to answer some credit questions for you guys. So we're going to have a little bit more of a formal multi-coach check-in in a little bit. Otherwise, we thank you guys for stopping by tonight, and we look forward to talking to you some more.